Hello, this is Mike, and thanks for being with me. Today I have a pretty quick refresher training. It's in the form of an actual case where a notary lost their license, got tricked by somebody to notarizing illegally in the Bronx, and her license was revoked and it was a Class A misdemeanor. So here's a screenshot of the actual case from the Department of State Division of Licensing Services, the complainant against Patricia Perkinson, a respondent, and normally you would think of that as a defendant. So here is the decision. So we're going to have the boring information, but kind of explain it in a fun way for you. What happened? So there's these parties involved. So we have the first person involved that lost her license, Patricia Perkinson, in the Bronx, and I guess she was a little gullible, tried to help somebody out, and ended up getting burned. All right, let's explain that. Then involved is James Francis. So he is the decedent, and he apparently had these three daughters that had a little bit of a argument over the estate. So this is one of the sisters who fooled the notary. This is the relative of the deceased, forged papers to appoint herself as administratrix, and that was Viola Francis. Just so you know, when I have these names and everything here, this is all already published on the internet. These are old cases, and I'm not exposing any names that are already on the internet published by the state for for the public to view. Okay, so the victims of the deceased relative were the other two sisters, Lois Francis and Corrine Francis. These are not their actual pictures, by the way. I just get some pictures here to make it interesting. All right, so this is where the false papers were filed after the notary notarized illegally, and what was filed, and this is an actual screenshot of Google Maps Street View today, and this is 851 Grand Concourse. This is the Bronx Surrogate Court. So when people die and the property has to be divvied up, this is where it's decided in this court. So what was notarized? It was called a renunciation of administration in surrogate's court. It's a form that allows a person to give up their right to act as the administrator of a deceased person's estate and appoint someone else. So there were two of these that were signed by two sisters uh, illegally. They were forged. Their names were forged, and the other sister appointed herself. She brought this to the notary and had the notary notarize it before anybody signed it. And then she went in and forged her sister's names later. So that's what the notary did wrong. The notary went ahead and notarized something without signatures. Probably the sister, Viola, said something like, just help us out. We need to have this notarized and they can't be here right now. And, somebody died. Please help us out. And the notary fell for it. All right. So this is the legal mumbo jumbo. This is how it reads now that you understand what this is going to explain, because it is in legalese. So the complaint alleges that the respondent notarized the acknowledgement portions of two blank forms that she failed to place on the forms the date of her notary act and the names of the persons who purportedly appeared before her, that the signatures of the alleged signatories were subsequently forged on the documents, which were then filed in surrogate's court, that the purported signatories did not appear before the respondent and did not acknowledge their signatures to her, that the purported signatories suffered pecuniary damages as a result of the respondent's acts, and that by reason thereof the respondent is guilty of engaging in acts of professional misconduct. And as you know, in New York State, as a notary public, a state officer, when you are found guilty of professional misconduct, your license can be suspended or revoked. In this case, it was revoked. That means you can't get it back. And it's also a Class A misdemeanor. Okay, so findings of fact. So this is what really happened. The court found out after those charges. Viola Francis presented the respondent with two renunciation of letters of administration and waiver of citation forms relating to the estate of James V. Francis, and asked the respondent to notarize them. The full details of the forms had not been completed, and although the title of the proceeding and a clause consenting to the appointment of Viola Francis as administratrix may have been typed on the forms before they were presented to the respondent, the notary, The handwritten names, addresses, relationships to the decedent, and signatures of the purported signatories and the dates of their purported signing were missing. They had not been signed by the purported signatories. The respondent, Notary Public, wrote the venue, date, and names of the purported signatories Lois G. Francis and Corrine Francis Moran on the forms based on Viola Francis' statement, like Viola said, "Can you please help me?" That the signatures of Lois G. Francis and Corrine Francis Moran would be obtained later, like later. The respondent, it's like signing a blank check and mailing it to somebody. Go ahead and you fill in whatever you want later, right? So the respondent then signed the forms after the statement, "To me personally known to be the same person described in and who executed the foregoing instrument, to me such person duly acknowledged that he or she executed the same," and affixed her notary stamp and signature. So, I mean, that's the notary's acknowledgement certificate, right? So neither Lois G. Francis nor Corrine Francis Moran, so Corrine Francis had a married name, but it's Corrine Francis Moran, appeared before the respondent, and they did not acknowledge to her that they had signed the documents. Their signatures were forged on the documents by or at the direction of Viola Francis, and the documents were filed in Surrogate's Court, Bronx County. Although the purported signatories were not aware of court proceedings at the time, they did eventually receive shares of the estate. So they did get money after all this was caught. I don't know what happened to the naughty sister, uh, I'm sorry, Viola Francis. I don't know. This case didn't show what happened to her, so I couldn't find out. Okay, so the determination of the court. Wherefore, it is hereby determined that by notarizing purported acknowledgments on two unsigned documents without the purported signatories having appeared before her, and without those purported signatories having acknowledged that they had signed the documents, Patricia Perkinson engaged in acts of misconduct as a notary public, and accordingly, pursuant to Executive Law 130 that we study on the notary exam, her commission as a notary public is revoked effective immediately. Ouch, for being a nice person. Okay, so there it is. Official misconduct is when a public servant is guilty of official misconduct when, with intent to obtain a benefit or injure or deprive another person of a benefit, you commit an act relating to your office but constituting an authorized exercise of his or her official functions, knowing that such act is unauthorized, or, this is what she did, she knowingly refrained from performing a duty which is imposed upon him or her by law or is clearly inherent in the nature of the office. So although the notary didn't get a benefit, she still knowingly refrained from performing a duty which is imposed. All right. Class A misdemeanor, license revoked. Okay, so that was a pretty good review of an actual case history in the Bronx. Okay, so of course we're going to be talking for the rest of this video about the best resume secret sauce, how to craft a winning resume as a college student, as a job seeker, as somebody switching jobs, as a job seeker, New York Notary license candidate. Okay, so it's the best thing you can do on a resume. So visit our website, howtobecomenotaryinny.com. If you're not a notary, quick New York Notary online classes. Takes some people one day. You have 8 months access. Notary supplies. If you just needed to renew and get new stamps, testimonials there to see hundreds of our people that are happy with a 5.0 rating. New York Notary exam schedules were just updated till the end of the year. Sample practice exam if you want to see what the state exam is like. And you can join the New York Notary Association and get these newsletters, not just watch them on YouTube, and get the rest of the information. And if you're an existing notary, upgrade to a remote online notary, Ron, where they charge $25 a signature and can notarize for the whole world, not just New York State. Any questions, call me, Mike, at 347-427-9091, extension 1. And, go look at those testimonials. There's hundreds of them. We like you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video. We appreciate you and we appreciate your valuable time. I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.